The internet is filled with miracle cures, conflicting studies, and advice that ranges from helpful to harmful. My journey led me to create metabolictherapy.com to organise what I was learning and to help others navigate this terrain. So today, I just want to give you a little bit of a warning about making sure that you do any research on anything that tells you you should do this and you'll get that outcome, because that's just not how science works. You can take two people with exactly the same disease and try the same treatment on both of them. One will be cured, the other might get worse. Why might that be? Well, it could be their lifestyle, could be what they're eating. One might be on a fully ketogenic diet, the other might be in donuts for breakfast and jars of Haribo for lunch, who knows. Also, their genetic makeup is going to be different. They're obviously the life that they've had will be different. They might have had different diseases, different vaccinations. They might have many different antibodies in their system that each of them could potentially act in a slightly different way, such that the outcomes aren't the same. So anything that deals in absolutes, you should be very wary of. One of the reasons that I am an advocate of metabolic therapy is because the science is there and the story isn't changing. People aren't coming along with different tests that disprove that all of these findings are false and harmful, and essentially what we're finding is that as simple as metabolic therapy is probably the reason it's working so effectively for so many people. When we look at Big Pharma and they spend tens or hundreds of millions of pounds on developing a drug, when they do those tests, is it going to help some people? Yes, of course, because of the wide, diverse range of people's biologies and genes and lifestyles. Absolutely, it's going to help some people, but they're not finding something that works for everybody. And this is where metabolic therapy differs, is that if you do the two things that are going to help the cancer survive, grow and spread, you cut those fuel sources out, the glucose and the glutamine, the cancer literally has nowhere else to go. And so, because it's so simple, if you've got an organism that isn't getting food, it dies. And that's what happens to cancer cells. And so anything else that you find that people are saying, do this, and especially, if it involves money, but often a lot of money, then you really should be using an AI tool to dive into it, find out, what is the science behind it, what's the proof behind it, what studies have been done. Because with metabolic therapy, those studies, they are being done. Often they're done in combination with other standard of care drugs, but nearly every one that I've read so far is showing us that when they are combined, they're having an impact and the outcomes are better. So the underlying principles are obviously doing something. there are so many stories that Professor Seafried has told about various drugs that people thought worked for one reason, and when it was people were getting high temperatures, or they were made very sick, they were very ill, they couldn't eat, so they're essentially fasting. It always comes back to starve out the cancer. And so it is one of those things that I'm still coming up with a process to better evaluate studies, and I will be sharing that on the website. Once I've done that, I'll start posting studies and the evaluations of them. But these things do take time to research alternatives. But the one thing with metabolic therapy is what it comes back to every single time is starve the cancer of its fuel sources. It becomes weak, and then anything else that you do, any other protocol that you have, even if it's part of standard of care, is just going to be more effective. And so this is why I say, for anybody finding anything that promises outcomes for critical illnesses, just be aware, because this kind of feels like it's the one thing that everybody's going to have to come to accept in the medical community eventually. I can't really see a way where we're going to get into the future of treating illnesses such as cancer without having some sort of metabolic protocol in place to supplement it, and then that's going to filter down into many people's lifestyles, and it's probably going to end up changing society. So yeah, I mean, I guess this one's just a bit of a warning to watch out for the scammers out there, the people selling the snake oil, and to just tell you that I've looked for the downside to metabolic therapy. I mean, it's a non-toxic therapy. It's something that has a lot of scientific evidence to back up, and this is something that even mainstream medical professionals are accepting, that yes, glucose and glutamine are being fermented by cancer cells. They are producing lactic acid. It is a clear sign that that's how the cancer is essentially staying alive. But they won't accept the rest of it, that if you just cut those fuel sources off, that anything else that you do is just going to be so much more effective. So I'm still struggling to understand how and why that's the case. But for anything else, run it through an AI. Go and use ChatGPT, go and get Perplexity, get Gemini, get Copilot. It doesn't matter what you do. Just start running it through and ask him, if somebody's offering a cure and it costs money, run it through the AI. Ask the AI, does this work? What's the evidence? What are the studies that have shown this to be effective? And then just take the answers that it gives and see if there's more questions that it brings up than answers, because if that's the case, the chances are it's just somebody looking to make some money out of you, and nobody likes to see that. For a lot of people, money's short, and you really want to be spending it on the things that are actually going to make a difference. So being taken for a ride by some charlatan or snake oil salesman, and there are all too many of them out there, is not good. But if you want to get some fairly solid community-led device, you're always welcome to join our free group, Cancer Warriors, on the school.com platform. And in there, we are talking all the time about the latest videos that are coming out, the latest protocols, what people are trying, what people have got results with. So join us in there, and we're happy to share anything and everything that we're finding out all around the web, and with as much analysis as we can bring to bear with all of our AI tools, because several of us have them. So I'll leave that there for now. If you found this helpful, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me any comments down below. If you've got any questions, I'm more than happy to help them. And if you want to find out my full story, check out my GoFundMe, it's all in there. And I'd be really appreciative if you could share that story about too, because that will really help me. So enjoy the rest of your day, take care, and goodbye for now.